He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
Oh, a shelter in the time
of the storm.
Well, you can't do like Yeshua did. Not a mumbling word he said. He walked right down to Lazarus' grave and raised him from the dead. Oh, he's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
Oh, a shelter in the
time of a storm.
Oh, he's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a
Oh, a shelter in the time.
of a storm.
Gonna go down to that river. Gonna stand there like a man. Unbuckle my sword right off of my side and stick it in the golden sand. Oh, he's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a
Oh, a shelter in the time.
of a storm.
Oh, he's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a
Oh, a shelter in the time of a storm. Well, load my gun with the Holy Ghost, and I pull my trigger with prayer. King Joshua is my captain, and I shoot most anywhere. Oh, he's a battler.
in the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of
Oh, a shelter in the time.
a storm.
Oh, he's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of
Oh, a shelter in the time.
a storm.
Father, I stretch my hands to thee. No other help have I known. If you withdraw yourself from me, or where the shall I go? Oh, he's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of
Oh, a shelter in the time.
a storm.
Oh, he's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a battle.
He's a battler.
In the time of a
Oh, a shelter in the time of the storm.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And praise Yahweh that he has given us some form of understanding of his law, that we even understand that we're in the midst of our Feast of Tabernacles. We understand by reading that we know that it's going to come a point that he's going to make all the nations send a representative up to the holy city and pay their respect unto the true King of Kings. Even though man has set up their King of Kings, they're about to see a King of Kings and understand how that is really supposed to be done. Now, when we consider that tabernacling is the gathering in peace and reconciliation unto Yahweh. Now, we have many gatherings. Convocation is a gathering. Every Sabbath is a gathering. But when you talk about tabernacling, it's gathering on swole, if you will. Because now we're talking about going through all of the necessary points to make atonement for our sins, going through all of these things. And then we get to that tabernacling, which is the spiritual part of what Yahshua is going to set forth when we have peace on earth, when you have that situation where everybody will be able to look at the adversary, the devil, and say, that's him right there in that pit. So nobody can say, the devil convinced me, the devil did this, and that's why I did this. You know, we have that at this point. You won't have that anymore, because you'll be able to look at it. So that excuse is going to be completely taken out of the way. So when we understand the whole part of tabernacling, it talks about in the word that a child shall die at 100. So what happens? If you die at 100, the question is going to be why? Because longevity will be the whole part of the times at that point. So at this point, we consider somebody at 100 years, we say, man, they've lived a full life. According to this book, at 100, you're still a child. We're supposed to live much longer than that, but we don't understand that that's also a part of his mercy and grace. Because if we don't have our things together and then we live several hundred years, you have to think about all the sins that we're going to have to deal with. There's mercy in Yahweh even cutting down our time, especially when we are walking in ignorance. So if we put all of those things together, we then must recognize then a certain order must be kept that he's trying to get us to understand through the process of the holy days and then ending with the tabernacling. There's something that's being set up there. So let's begin today's sermon in Galatians chapter 6. Galatians chapter 6, and we're going to start that at verse 1, and today's sermon is entitled, Of the Household of Faith. Of the Household of Faith. See, there's a certain way that we're supposed to do everything. But then there's a way that we're supposed to deal with those of the household of faith. So when you're talking about tabernacling, there's a way that we're supposed to deal with some things.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted.
Right, but even this has its limitations. Let's say you restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, but then it gets to the point where they use your meekness as weakness and continue coming at you. Then you're going to have to consider, all right, how am I going to deal with this the next go around? Because I keep considering this in the spiritual part of meekness, considering, okay, when it says consider yourself, consider if it was you. If it was you in that situation and you made a mistake, which all of us do, you then want to have somebody to have some consideration for you. But at what point does that consideration end up being that you just totally keep getting walked on? All of that has to come into the equation. Go ahead.
Bear you one another's burdens, so fulfill the law of the Mashiach. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden.
Right. Now, even though we are supposed to try to step in and help one another, you know, it still is your burden. It says in verse 2, bear you one another's burden. Then, verse 5 says, for every man shall bear his own burden. So wait a minute. Now, is he talking about two different things? 1 minute he says, bear you one another's burdens. No, we're going to help you. But that burden still is yours. Sometimes we forget whose burden it is. Somebody will ask you to come help them. You look up and they gone. Wait a minute. I'm supposed to be helping you. I ain't supposed to be doing this for you. If I'm helping you, where are you?
Oh, I stopped at my grandmama's house. I'm gonna come over there when I get finished here.
Well, when you get finished, that's when we're gonna start. See, I'm helping you bear your burdens. I ain't bearing your burdens for you. Go ahead.
Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teaches in all good things. Be not deceived. Elohim is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sows, that he also reaps.
Right. Whatever you plant, that's what's going to grow. Our problem is we keep forgetting what we planted because we have selective amnesia. There's certain things that we just don't want to remember because it wasn't favorable to us. So we don't want to remember that we did this particular thing. But remember what you plant so that when that fruit come up, you're not sitting there looking all strange. Like, I don't know why I got this kind of fruit in my yard. That's the kind of fruit you planted in your yard. Back up a couple of years. Remember you did this? Well, that's why this is here. Go ahead.
That shall he also reap. Verse 8. For he that sows to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that sows to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not.
Let us not be weary in well-doing, meaning that when we do well, you're not going to receive well right away. This is what gets you, you know what I'm tired of doing right.
I've been doing right for two weeks straight. I'm all righted out. I can't do right no more.
Don't get weary in well-doing. For in due season, understand, a season means not right now. You don't plant, and this comes right after saying, whatever you sow, you shall reap. It then says, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season. Now we're talking about due season. We're talking about time. We're talking about a space of time. We're talking about planting in this point and reaping in another. That's something altogether different. Go ahead.
As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
Right. Now you have some that only want to do good to people whom they are in the same faith with. That's why some people want you to wear fringes all the time, so that they can greet you a certain way, so that they can do all of those things. I've been around and I watch people who wear fringes all the time. You know, I mean, they in the shower, they got on fringes, you know. They swimming, it look like snakes behind them. They got fringes moving in the water, okay? So when somebody else with fringes walk up, it's interesting to watch how they greet that individual, right? Then another brother comes up without fringes and they greet that individual another way. It says, do good unto all men, especially those of the household of faith. But if you need some kind of marker to try to figure out who you believe is in the household of faith, then maybe you're not at the regular good level. Is it that you are only good to the ones who you know of in the household of faith and then you crappy to the rest of them? No. It says do good to all men. You go over that when they are of the household of faith. We somehow have turned that into we're only going to do good to those of the household of faith. We think that is our over. That is over. There's something wrong with your measuring line there. Because we're supposed to be good to people no matter what faith they are. Now, that don't mean we agree with everything that they do. Once they cross, that line, then, hey, we're going to have the conversation. I give everybody, an opportunity to do or say whatever that is. I tell people, even my relatives, I let them know, you got 2 free Jesuses. I run a half off Jesus special. You get 2 free Jesus. All right? Go ahead. Those are yours. That third one is where Yahshua come into the mix. All right? I'm not gonna come right off the top rope. I'm running that half off special, and it's still on right now. You know what I'm saying? So tell your family and friends that the half off Jesus special is still on right now. Limited time. All right? But that third one, we finna have a conversation. But I'm gonna give you them 2. But that third one, I'm gonna start getting into that conversation. Okay, well, if the J only existed since 1630, how is it that his name can possibly be Jesus? Now things just got ugly. But I gave you the 50% half off special. You didn't take that deal. You should have took your 2 and hopped on the bus, Gus. You should have done that. But now you done took it past this. Every sale is limited time only. You should have taken that. Once you get to that third one, we about to have a conversation. See, being good to you don't mean I'm finna let you spit your doctrine and me not say anything. I'm gonna try to be understanding that maybe you just don't understand. Maybe you just don't know. But for the people who stand, a lot of times the conversation is not even about the individual. It's about the other people who stand near, and they are hearing that, and they are not hearing any rebuttal from you. So they are then going with what they hear that person saying, and because you didn't say anything, now they believe that you agreed with it. You have silently co-signed on that false doctrine. Go ahead.
You see how large a letter I have written unto you with mine own hand? As many as desire to make a fair show in the flesh, they constrain you to be circumcised, only lest they should suffer persecution of the cross of the Mashiach. For neither they themselves who are circumcised keep the law, but desire to have you circumcised, that they may glory in your flesh.
Right. What is he talking about? those that are circumcised, as it is written, if you are circumcised, you're a debtor to do the whole law. He said they are circumcised, but they're not doing animal sacrifice. They're not doing all of the stuff that's contained in the law. But then they want you to go ahead and get circumcised that they can be glorified in your flesh. So these things have been changed. And you got to understand that some of those who they are encountering are still on the old way of things. Just like today, you have people that'll tell you, you know, I'm a one booker. They only believe in the Old Testament. So you'll encounter them same individuals. Now, although they'll tell you law, ask them when the last time they did a sacrifice. Because they don't believe in Yahshua. Well, where you sacrifice it? Next logical question to me. What you sacrifice? You tell me that he's not the Messiah, he's not the ultimate sacrifice for sin. Okay, where your goats? Oh, you ain't got none? You ain't got no goats? Well, you told me you was a one booker. Sound like me, you a half booker. Because if you was a one booker, you still believe in sacrifice. So you tell me you don't even believe in the whole one book that you're reading. That's what you're telling me. So, and if you think we got to deal with that now, back up 2,000 years ago, what do you think they dealing with? So he's got to go against all these different groups of Israelites. As it is to this day. People find out you're an Israelite, they automatically see purple. He's having to go against all these other groups. Say, man, your doctrine's strange. Yeah, you're a Jew, but you're a strange Jew. Go ahead.
Verse 14. But Elohim forbid that I should glory, save in the cross of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, by whom the world is crucified unto me, and I unto the world. For in the Mashiach Yahshua, neither circumcision avails anything, nor uncircumcision, but a new creature. Mm-hmm. And as many as walk according to this rule, peace be unto them, and mercy, and upon the Israel of El.
Now, when you read that, and I'm glad you ended up correcting that, because people will say, you know, they don't really understand what they're even talking about when they say Israel of God. You know, first of all, God is El. And there are questions that we were submitted for Ask the Priest that, of course, we were not able to get to. But when you deal with this here, when it's talking about the Israel of God, understand that El is singular, Elohim is plural. So when you're talking about the Israel of El, understand that when we even say some of these things, they don't understand that Israel is in, or El is in it, and is a part of Elohim. So all of those words have the same base in them, and then we don't consider when it starts talking about we are one. We don't even hear how one is the base of the other. You got Israel. God is El. We don't even hear the God in the very term that we are called by. Yet we walk around talking about we Israel. Yet you don't hear the God in you. You don't hear the God in you. You don't even understand the God in you. That's why all these names before ended in El, E-L, before they even knew Yah's name. Then you find names ending in Yah. There's order. There's a reason why he set up El Elohim before he let you know his name. See, you got to deal with Israel before you deal with Yah. Same way it's going to be here on earth. Everybody want to go straight to Yahweh. Problem is, the path to Yahweh leads through Israel. So you can try to go around all you want. You're going to have to come to Israel. And you're going to have to do right by Israel before you get to Elohim. Did you finish that, brother?
Verse 17. From henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Adonai Yahshua. Brethren, the grace of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach be with your spirit. Amen.
All right, let's go to Proverbs chapter 2. Proverbs chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 1 through 22.
Verse 1. My son, if you will receive my words and hide my commandments with you, so that you incline your ear unto wisdom and apply your heart to understanding.
So, if you will receive my words and hide my commandments with you, so that you incline your ear unto wisdom. There are certain things, let's say people can receive information or advice. They won't recognize that as good advice because they haven't taken hold to his culture, his commandments, so they won't even recognize wisdom when it's given unto them. Go ahead.
Yes, you crieth after knowledge, and lift up your voice for understanding. If you seeketh her as silver, and search for her as for hid treasures, then shall you understand the fear of Yahweh, and find the knowledge of Elohim. For Yahweh gives wisdom, out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He lays up sound wisdom for the righteous. He's a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keeps the paths of judgment, and preserve the way of his saints. Then shall you understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yes, every good path.
Now, it says he keeps the path of judgment, verse 8, and preserves the way of his saints. The problem is we may not like how that path is preserved. You see somebody else do something and they get away with it, and you think, you know what? I'm going to do that tomorrow. And you do it tomorrow, and you find yourself hurling in the air and land in some sticker-briar bushes. And you trying to figure out what went wrong. I did it just like I saw them do it. Right. The problem wasn't your approach. The problem was who you are. To preserve your way, that means he had to knock you off that other one. And we don't even see that as a blessing. See, the cursed, he let them keep going. They never hit a speed bump. It never bothers them. They keep going. But they got a bill that's going to come due that they can't possibly pay. Go ahead.
When wisdom enters into your heart and knowledge is pleasant unto your soul, discretion shall preserve you.
Discretion shall preserve you. Go ahead.
Understanding shall keep you.
When you start talking about discretion preserving you, there's certain things. Everything that come to your mind should not come out of your mouth. If y'all think some of the stuff I say is absolutely wild and out there, you should hear some of the stuff that I don't let y'all hear. There's some stuff that I think that I'd be like, I cannot say that. You should hear some of that. So if you see me by myself and I just start laughing, what happened? I thought something that I can't say. Discretion won't let me say that part. But it was funny. One day I might tell you. But not this decade. I can't say it then. No, I can't say it now. But that was funny. It was funny to me, but I can't say it to you. Go ahead.
To deliver you from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaks froward things, who leave the paths of unrighteousness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked and they froward in their paths. To deliver you from a strange woman, even from the stranger which flatters with her words, which forsakes the guide of her youth and forgets the covenant of her El.
Right, because we get to that point where we want to do it our way. You know, if there is a guide, that guide was helping push you in the right direction. The covenant keeps you in line. So you have a covenant and a guide that is supposed to keep you within the lines. But when we start feeling ourselves, and we all have that issue at some point. You can lie to yourself if you want to. But we all have that point where you got to sit down and have a conversation with yourself. It's like, I heard you talking in there. Wasn't nobody else in the room. Look, I was having a conversation. Don't come in here. Don't come in here. Don't come in here. Me and myself, we having a moment. You know, I'm trying to convince myself of some things, and myself ain't listening. So I had to get a little loud with myself so I can convince myself that myself is in error. I don't need you in here. You're just going to get an hour away. Go ahead, man.
For her house inclines unto death, and her paths unto the dead. None that go on to her return again, neither take they hold of the paths of life, that you may walk in the way of good men, and keep the paths of the righteous. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. But the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, and the transgressors shall be rooted out of it.
Okay, stop. We had a question. Everybody says, when they read this part, there were two women grinding at the mill. One of them was taken. Everybody keep thinking that the taken person is the people who raptured up. Okay, read verse 22 again.
But the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, and the transgressors shall be rooted out of it.
So who the hell is taken then? So everybody keep telling you, see, this is God's child. We gonna be raptured up. Me and you, child, I might be missing. Me and you gonna be at the mill, and he gonna take me. He gonna leave you. Well, you going to get in the lake of fire, sweetie. I don't know who told you this. The earth was created for man. When he root you out of it, it's not a good thing. But you see how slick the devil is? He got us convinced that the people who disappear is going to a good place. Now we're sitting there talking about, take me to. Nah, I'm straight. I'm straight. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to Proverbs chapter 23. And it's funny because, you know, all of us have been taught that same doctrine because everybody asks, when they ask that question, they go right back to this same thing. And then it's just like Priest Kish said the other night during the Ask the Priest, you can't find the word rapture nowhere in this book. But there's a doctrine for something that there's not a word for. Now, how you have a doctrine for something for a word that don't exist? How do you have a rapture doctrine, but the word rapture ain't in the book nowhere? That should be a clue. So there's a doctrine where there's not a word? How did there get to be a doctrine where there's not a word? I mean, clearly they could have called it something else. I mean, find at least a word that's here. And then make up a fake doctrine off a word that you actually can find in the book. How you gonna make up a doctrine and we can't even find the word? Then in the slickness, we're gonna make the punishment the rapture. So then people are going around desiring the punishment and don't even know it. Now tell me the devil ain't slick. Tell me the devil ain't slick. That you walk around asking for the punishment. Oh, please whoop me. I said, please. What is wrong with this kid right here? He's asking me to what? It seemed to be this what he like. Somebody hit him. You know, he don't know no better. He asking for you. Why would you ask for the punishment? But that's how slick the adversary is. Go ahead, bro. We're going to start at verse 13.
Withhold not correction from the child.
Right. You ever seen the child ask for a whipping? You ever seen the child just walk up, you know what? Now, you don't even know what they did. You know what? Dad, I'm going to be straight up with you. I've been foul. I'm going to need you to go ahead and correct me. My first question, who's the hell child is this? Who child is this? Who child? Because I've never had this gun. I got 5 of them. Not a nary time have I ever had a discussion such as this. Not one time. Even when they know I caught them. I still didn't get, you should punish me. Not one time. They know I caught them. I caught them red-handed. I caught them so bad that they just stuck in the position that I caught them in. Daddy, what you doing here? Don't worry about what I'm doing here. Don't you worry about what I'm doing here. But I still never got, please punish me. That never, ever came out of anybody's mouth. So then, this part then is directly for us, okay? Withhold not correction from the child. Go ahead, brother, keep going.
For if you beat him with the rod, he shall not die.
Right. That you're not beating him to kill him. You're beating him to teach him a lesson. Now, you can either teach him the lesson, or you can let the adversary, the devil, teach him the lesson. Which one do you think is going to teach that lesson out of love? Somebody going to teach the lesson. You understand what I'm saying to you? Somebody is going to teach that lesson. Go ahead.
You shall beat him with the rod, and shall deliver his soul from hell. My son, if your heart be wise, my heart shall rejoice, even mine. Yes, my reins shall rejoice, when your lips speak right things. Let not your heart envy sinners, but be you in the fear of Yahweh all the day long. For surely there is an end, and your expectation shall not be cut off. Hear you, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
Look. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. Why? Because he ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing.
I'm gonna sleep just a little bit longer.
That's why you ain't got nothing. Go ahead.
Hearken unto your father that begot you, and despise not your mother when she is old. Buy the truth, and sell it not. Also wisdom, and instruction, and understanding.
Right. Now, when we consider certain things, Eli the priest lost his life and communication with Yah because of his refusal to discipline his kids. Yahweh was willing to take Moshe's life because he wouldn't supersede the wishes of his wife and get the circumcision for his children. Moshe took into account that the circumcision was not his wife's culture, and therefore had understanding concerning her difficulty. Yahweh, on the other hand, did not care about the circumstances. Yahweh and the angel that stood by only cared for the results that obedience would bring. Proverbs 22:15 says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. Verse 6 of the same chapter states, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not depart from it. We then must ask ourselves, what are we training them up to do? We must also realize that we are training when we do something, and we are training when we do nothing. If your child acts disrespectfully and you do nothing, you are training them up in the way that you wish for them to go. We must then conclude that those who refuse to correct their children love them for the now, but do not love their children for the later, because they are going to get disciplined later, and it is going to break their spirit, because they never got accustomed to anything coming from you. Let's go to our 2 Kings chapter 2. See, we have to consider some things that when we get ready to keep tabernacles in the kingdom and all of these things. You're talking about a multitude of people everywhere. This was when you used to get that speech from your parents. Look now, you representing the whole family here. You understand? Now, don't look at me in my eyes, boy. Look at me. Now, don't look over there. Look at me. Look at me. Don't look over there. Look at me. Let me tell you something. I need you to hear me. I got stuff to do, so I'm going to be here, there, and yonder. I won't be watching you all the time. But I got eyes in here. You understand? And if one of them little birdies fly back and tell me a story, what I'm going to do to you? Little boy, what I'm going to do to you? They ain't wrote it down in the book yet. You understand what I'm saying to you? We knew. All right. Mama and Big Mama serious right now. This on a different level right here. This not just, you acted up at the market. No. This something different right here. You knew. No, this don't happen. Your kids got to know those different levels. Oh, this is not regular here. Otherwise, you're going to get to a special place and they're going to play you just like you was at home. They ain't learn the difference. See, the speech and the action has to match the venue. We knew, oh, no. This one is different. This one is different. This one ain't like the other ones. Go ahead, brother.
Brother, you ever been out and see a kid acting up in public because they know that parents embarrassed and ain't gonna do nothing, and you hear, wait till I get you home.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. That kid has learned the boundaries. That kid has learned, you ain't gonna do nothing to me while people watching. See, that was the surprise that old parents gave. They wouldn't even talk, wouldn't say nothing, just be sitting there, just a calm. And all of a sudden, grandmama come off the top rope like Superfly Snooker. You see her going, just coming up. What the? She done jumped over the mama, the daddy, and came to the grandchild. She took care of that business. He didn't even see her coming. Next 3 months, that kid, every time he, what? Wait a minute, what grandma? Right. They learn who they can play and how they can play them. Go ahead.
And it came to pass when Yahweh would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray you, for Yahweh has sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, I will not leave you. So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha, and said unto him, know you that Yahweh will take away your master from your head today? And he said, yes, I know it. Hold you your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray you, for Yahweh had sent me to Jericho. And he said, as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, I will not leave you. So they came to Jericho. And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha, and said unto him, know you that Yahweh will take away your master from your head today? And he answered, yes, I know it.
So, here it is. This is not a secret. This is flowing around. But the problem when information flows is problems can come forth. Because now you got the naysayers who jump into this circle here. Go ahead.
Hold you your peace. And Elijah said unto him, tarry, I pray you here, for Yahweh hath sent me to Jordan. And he said, as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, I will not leave you. And they two went on.
And they two came to Jericho. Where you at?
End of verse 6.
Okay.
And they two went on. And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to view afar off. And they two stood by Jordan. And Elijah took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and thither, so that two went over on dry ground. So that they two went over on dry ground. And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, Ask what I shall do for you before I be taken away from you. And Elisha said, I pray you, let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. And he said, you have asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I am taken from you, it shall be so unto you. But if not, it shall not be so.
Now, this is, even he tells him, you have asked a hard thing. But do we even know what to ask for when we get in the situation? The problem with more power is it takes more control. See, we always look at something, especially when we're looking at a vehicle, we look at how fast it go. We don't look at how fast it stop. See, the bigger the engine, the bigger the brakes need to be. We don't consider that. We just want, a fast car. And you see many cars on the back of a stretcher getting towed out of somewhere. Like, what happened to them?
Oh, he went real fast. Stopping was his problem. He didn't have a problem going fast. Oh, he knew fast, he knew well. Stopping, he didn't know so well.
We don't even consider when we put them big old wheels on our car. We want to look nice. So we're gonna put some 28s on here. Boys are gonna look like a tall man walking through the forest. Look at that, boys are gonna be awesome. We don't think about, hey, you know them regular brakes not gonna stop that, right? You do know the bigger you get those wheels, you gotta also upgrade those brakes, or it does not stop. I mean, you press the brake. I mean, you definitely press the brake. But it don't stop. I mean, it stop eventually. But the weight of them wheels just keep going, and you like, oh. So you got to learn to start stopping way back there. So we only want to upgrade the parts that are for the vanity. But when you upgrade the motor and you upgrade the wheels, you better upgrade your brakes. Because now you have power, but no way to stop that power. Keep reading. Now he asked for double power. Now we see how powerful Elijah was, right? He won't double that. You understand the control that's got to come with that? Go ahead.
Verse 11. And it came to pass, as they still went on and walked, that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it.
Uh-oh, he saw it. So what he got?
And he cried.
He got double, right? All right, go ahead.
And he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan.
Right. Now, the mantle fell back. He's got a part of his master, right? I keep asking people, how they get that book of Enoch? Did it fall? Did it fall down after he wrote it? How did they get it? Wait a minute. He going to heaven, right? Yahweh taking him, right? The mantle falls. What did the book of Enoch fit? Who got it? Right. The book don't make no sense. Go ahead.
And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and smote the waters, and said,
Now, there's power in the thing that fell. All right, go ahead.
where is Yahweh El of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over.
All right, so he got the power. Go ahead.
And when the sons of the prophets which were to view at Jericho saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah does rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him, and bowed themselves to the ground before him.
Uh-huh.
And they said unto him, behold now, there be with your servants 50 strong men. Let them go, we pray you, and seek your master, lest peradventure the spirit of Yahweh hath taken him up and cast him upon some mountain or into some valley. And he said, you shall not send. And when they urged him till he was ashamed, he said, send. They sent therefore 50 men, and they sought 3 days, but found him not. And when they came again to him, for he tarried at Jericho, he said unto them, did I not say unto you, go not?
Right. that sometimes you know you can get pushed to the point, you know, where folks just say, all right, go ahead. That seems to be what you want to do anyway. And that's how some people deal with advice. They'll go from person to person to person, but the only advice they really want is the advice that they already have given themselves. Oh, that's what you want to do. Go ahead. And when you find yourself in that situation, stop wasting my time. They are wasting his time. Yeah, should we go? Should we go? I mean, you know what? I'm already told you no. But obviously, you want to go. You only want the advice that already agrees with you. Go ahead, go up. So he let them go ahead and waste their time. And when they got back, didn't I tell you not to go? But you kept pushing. Go ahead.
You say no long enough, they also gonna start nation. You don't even care about Elijah. He don't even care what happened to him.
Right.
He got the power now. He don't even care.
Huh?
And the men of the city said unto Elisha, Behold, I pray you, the situation of this city is pleasant, as my master seeth. Both the waters not and the ground barren. And he said, Bring me a new cruse, and put salt therein. And they brought it to him. And he went forth unto the spring of the waters, and cast the salt in there, and said, Thus says Yahweh, I have healed these waters. There shall not be from thence any more death or barren land. So the waters were healed unto this day, according to the saying of Elisha, which he spake. And he went up from thence unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head.
Now, see, certain times, kids need to learn how to shut up. All right, now if you ain't taught your kid when to shut up, this is probably gonna be a bad situation. Now, understand also now when they say little children, they'll use this term little children even for young adults. So understand, these not just little kids. Cause to this day, your grandmama still call you a little boy. You 45, you little boy, bring me something to drink. It ain't nothing you finna do but go in that kitchen and go get her something to drink, little boy. All right, go ahead.
And he turned back
Now,
and looked on them and cursed them in the name of Yahweh. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tear 42 children of them.
Right. Now see, your kid ain't learned when to shut their mouth. Now they done ran up to the wrong individual. Now wouldn't it be better for your kid to have said something and they got slapped in the mouth than to meet 2 she-bears? Which one of those do you think works best in the favor of your child? Backhand or 2 she-bears? I'm gonna give y'all a minute. Maybe that's difficult for some of y'all. So the backhand is powerful. See, the backhand would have kept them from running off at the mouth. Because understand what they're doing at this point. When you talk about, especially the word, you have people who are entering into covenants, and at the sacrifice, at the completion of covenants, they shaving off all their hair. They having all of these things. And when they said go up, bald head, understand what they're doing. They're mocking him, saying, all right, well, your master so-called went up. Well, let's see you go up, bald head. Now, the next thing is this. With a double portion of the power, did he know that 2 she-bears was going to come and devour them? Or was he just ticked off? See, with great power also comes great control. Did he know when he said, because understand something now, we'd be driving in the street and somebody cut us off. Man! And we just utter something. Now what happens if we keep going down the street and then that car flip over about 8 times and the person fly out of it? Because you said something. Not understanding that it was power in the words that came out of your mouth. You just cursed that person to death. What you gonna do with that? See, with double power, you need double control. friend of mine got a Dodge Challenger at his shop right now, putting it back together. I say, yeah, another victim of them old Dodge boys, huh? He say, yeah. Them Dodge boys be tearing up everything. They want the power. Problem is, half of them don't know how to damn drive. They just know if you hit it, they go, woo. They love that. They haven't figured out how to steer. They haven't figured out how to brake. But they know if you touch the gas, it makes that sound they like. He got a double whammy of power here. He just says something. And now how many kids is it? 42?
Mm-hmm.
Consider that. Go ahead.
And he went from thence to Mount Carmel, and from thence he returned to Samaria.
All right. Let's go to Romans chapter 14. You know, before I got in the word, it was this woman that told me one day, and I thought she was absolutely just off her rocker, because I didn't really understand the power of words and things like that. And she told me that you have the power to make or completely F somebody's day up by what you allow to come out of your mouth. I was like, man, you don't get the album in front of me. Get on there. Now later on, life and wisdom start kicking in, and oh, wait a minute. There's validity to that statement. But I didn't want to hear that. I wasn't in no word then. Matter of fact, you know, it was people was trying to get me to stop eating pork. I was like, if you don't shut up and pay that pork chop. I wasn't trying to hear that. I sure wasn't trying to hear nothing now. Lo and behold, oh, there was validity to that too. Romans chapter 14, let's start at verse 1.
Him that is weak in the faith receive you, but not to doubtful disputations.
Uh-huh. Now, but not to doubtful disputations. That means there is a limit to how much stuff you gonna deal with. I might help you, but you're gonna have to take that garbage doctrine you're talking. You're gonna have to keep that in your mouth, cause I'm not gonna deal with that. Now, you on the road. You got a flat tire. I'm gonna help you with the flat tire, but I'm not finna listen to your false doctrine. Go ahead.
For one believes that he may eat all things. Another, who is weak, eats herbs. Let not him that eats despise him that eats not.
Right. We're talking about whether or not this is to veg or not to veg. Okay? This is a vegetarian conversation. And sometimes it can get ugly, depending on who you're talking to. Go ahead.
And let not him which eats not judge him that eats, for Elohim has received him. Who are you that judges another man's servant?
Who are you that judges another man's servant? How they deal with, what they deal with is how they deal with it. But when you put that burden of how you deal with something on other people, now we got a problem. That's what I said. The people who come in, you have those people that say, I don't believe in having no fire on the Sabbath day, so I don't want eat any thing. I eat nothing but cold cuts. Have at it. My plate gonna be smoking. But if that's what you want to do, cold cut it out. Cold cut it. We got some mustard in there. You put some mustard on your cold cuts. Go ahead. He said, I will not set any fire in my dwelling. And then I just started asking, so, but was your heater on before you came here? Oh, so your heater was on? Damn. Okay. How you got here? I drove. Damn, it's a fire in there, isn't it? So you mean to tell me you ain't walk here? Surely, if you weren't gonna set no fire, surely I figured you got on your bike. Oh, I'm sorry. You say it's 40 miles? So You ought to be tired when you get hit with your cold cuts. You understand? Because you should have rode your bicycle, and you should have been pretty damn cold from last night. Oh, okay, but we're just gonna deal with half of that then. You see that? We're just gonna deal with half of that. We're not gonna set a fire only when we talk about cooking. Wait a minute now. There's a fire in that furnace. You don't believe me? Go downstairs. Open that little metal door.
No, ain't no fire. There's heat. It's magical air to come out the vents.
Oh yeah? Go downstairs. It's a little metal door. It's normally right by the hot water heater. Open that door. Look at the flame that's in there. That's fire. That fire, matter of fact, have somebody upstairs turn it up. The one flame then turns into about 30. Then the air comes and blows that fire through the rest of your house. Then folk get here and say, I ain't gonna eat nothing but cold cuts. You just had an inferno burning in your house. But you want to come here and think you gonna make us eat cold cuts. Boy, stop. Read, man.
To his own master he stands or falls. Yea, he shall be holden up, for Elohim is able to make him stand. One man esteems one day above another, another esteems every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. He that regards the day regards it unto the Adonai, and he that regards not the day to the Adonai, he does not regard it. He that eats, eats to the Adonai, for he gives Elohim thanks, and he that eats not to the Adonai, he eats not, and gives Elohim thanks. For none of us lives to himself, and no man dies to himself. For whether we live unto to the Adonai, and whether we die unto the Adonai. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Adonais. For to this end the Mashiach both died, and rose, and revived, that he might be Adonai both of the dead and living. But why do you judge your brother? Or why do you set at naught your brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of the Mashiach.
Right. And the difference between when we stand before the judgment seat of Yahshua, he knows our intentions. See, we can fake our intentions in front of man. Can't fake those intentions before Yahweh, our Elohim. See, he not only know what you did, he know why you did it. See, before man, we can say, well, I did this because of this. But Yahweh, no, that's not why you did that. No, that's what you did, but that ain't why you did it. See, I know why you did it. That's what's going to make that judgment different. And sometimes we lie to ourselves so long, we start to believe the lie. This is why I did it. No. Let me back up a little bit so I can show you why you did that. Go ahead.
For it is written, as I live, says the Adonai, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to Elohim. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to Elohim.
Everyone shall give an account of himself. You ain't got to worry about somebody else saying something about you or all of those things. What you got to worry about is what he got to say about you. You're going to have to give an account of you. Go ahead.
Let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way.
So when it's talking about judging now, understand with judgment comes punishment. We need to stop thinking that every time somebody brings something to our attention, that they are judging us. So brother's just supposed to sit there and let you fill up the lawnmower with gas while you smoking a cigar. And the brother said, bruh, the gas and that flame is flammable. Oh, you judging me? Oh, you judging me? Well, I would hope that we're not rolling you over crispy. Because if you keep playing with this gasoline while smoking that cigar, we might see a little something that came from Puff the Magic Dragon. You might want to stop playing like that. So now you can't even say nothing to your brother without your brother thinking, oh, you judging me? I'd rather not carry you out of here crispy. Sometimes you are saving yourself by having that conversation with your brother or sister. Because if you get dealt with, we all got to deal with you. That's the part that people don't understand. When a stoning happened, everybody has to partake in the stoning. So do you understand that by saving your brother or your sister from getting to that point, you're saving yourself? Because you don't know what kind of image you're going to have in your head after you throw that rock. He said, all right, it's judgment. Israel, this person has been found guilty. Everybody reach in the container and get your rock. Every last one of you. Now, who's first? The first one who witnessed it, they got to throw the first rock. Now everybody else got to throw after him. You don't understand how graphic and horrible that visual is. Because a stoning is a very slow punishment. Those people don't die right away. And once you partake in that, then maybe we will start to have some accountability to our brother and sister. Instead of just letting something go, you jump up in their face. I had a brother tell me that a little kid was walking down with a plate in his hand and he had food everywhere. And he was just a dang. He was just, I mean, it looked like at any point this food is just going to fly off this plate. There are people all around that keep saying, you're going to drop that food. You're going to drop that food. And everybody just keeps saying, you're going to drop that food. These grown-ups, a kid comes out of nowhere, snatch the plate off the other kid's hand, put it on the plate, and make that kid sit down. All the grown-ups kept saying what was going to happen eventually. But then another kid, slightly older kid though, comes and snatches the plate. Instead of letting once it hit the ground, now we all got to clean this mess up. And we may not get all these stains out. But it seems like everybody's standing by considering the individual's feelings.
You're going to drop that. You're going to drop that. You're going to drop that.
And somebody said, oh, no, you're not, because I'm finna snatch that. He's not going to drop that, because I got that. Are we going to do that to our brothers? Are we going to go, step in, take care of this business? Or are we worried about how somebody feels? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 14. I know and am persuaded by the Adonai Yahshua that there's nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteem anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. But if your brother be grieved with your meat, now walketh you not charitably, destroy not him with your meat, for whom the Mashiach died. Let not then your good be evil spoken of, for the kingdom of Elohim is not meat and drinks, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. For he that in these things serveth the Mashiach is acceptable to Elohim and approved of men. Let us therefore follow after the things which make for peace and things wherewith one may edify one another. For meat destroy not the work of Elohim. All things indeed are pure, but it is evil for that man who eats with offense.
Please don't mistake this as if they having a conversation about you eating pork. There are some that are vegetarians and others that eat what? Flesh. Okay? Please don't think. Because people will say,
You see this? See, I'm not, God said ain't nothing wrong with what I can eat meat. See? That's why I got this pork chop.
no, that ain't what he's talking about. Don't get it twisted. See, people will take this and then take it out of context. That ain't what he's talking about. Understand, if there was no killing in the garden, then the original man had to be a vegetarian. Point blank. Ain't nothing dying. So what is he eating? But once man committed them sins, there's blood that has to be made for atonement. And them priests got to eat that atonement. Go ahead.
It is good neither to eat flesh, nor to drink wine, nor anything whereby your brother stumbles, or is offended, or is made weak. Have you faith? Have it to yourself before Elohim. Happy is he that condemns not himself in that thing which he allows.
So, there are certain things that we may be allowed. Does that mean it should happen just because you have the ability to do it? Go ahead.
And he that doubteth is damned if he eat, because he eats not of faith. For whatsoever is not of faith is sin.
All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 26.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 1.
And we're going to read verses 1 through 13.
And it came to pass, when Yahshua had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Yahshua by subtlety and kill him. But they said, Not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people.
Right, not that we should not kill him. Just don't kill him on the feast day. I mean, that's such bad taste. You know what I'm saying? We kill on another day, not on that day. Go ahead.
Now when Yahshua was in Bethany, in the house of Simeon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head, as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, To what purpose is this waste?
What purpose is this waste? Now you see how one person's offering looks like a waste to somebody else? That's when you probably in business that ain't got nothing to do with you. Go ahead.
For this ointment might have been sold for much, and given to the poor.
So now they're going to guess how much the price should be and what they could have done with her offering. Go ahead.
When Yahshua understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble you the woman? For she has wrought a good work upon me. For you have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she has poured this ointment upon my body, she did it for my burial.
In that she has poured this ointment on my body, she has did it for my burial. But the burial ain't happened yet. He said, y'all don't even understand. Leave her alone. Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman has done, be told for a memorial of her.
All right, so then she got a memorial because of this offering that everybody else thought was just absolute waste. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 12. They done decided how much money they can get off I know we could have sold. How much was that she poured on his head? It looked like about 8 ounces, wasn't it? Let me see, what's the going rate for 8 ounces? Was it your 8 ounces? Yohanan chapter 12, and let's read verses 1 through 8.
Yohanan 12, 1 through 8. Then Yahshua 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served. But Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Miriam a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly.
Wait a minute now. We can just a pound of spikenard, very costly. Go ahead.
And anointed the feet of Yahshua, and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then says one of his disciples, Yehudas Iscariot, Simeon's son, which should betray him, Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor?
You see how we do? You know how much money we could have made, and you gonna take it with 300? Go ahead.
This he said, not that he cared for the poor,
Not that he cared. See, Yahweh not only knows what you did, he know why you did it. Go ahead.
but because he was a thief and had the bag and bear what was put therein.
In other words, so we could have sold this for 300.
Let me hold it. Put it right in there. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of this.
Sure you are. Go ahead.
Then said Yahshua, let her alone. Against the day of my burying has she kept this.
Uh-huh.
For the poor always you have with you, but me you have not always.
Now, it's interesting to hear the different parts of how things are told and the reasoning for those things. Let's go to Mark chapter 12. But even the one before says, you know, why will we judge another man's servant? Said, wait a minute, let this person offer what they're going to offer. It's up to Yahweh whether or not he's going to accept it or not. And sometimes we may get something and think that it is acceptable only to find out that Yahweh said, oh, this is not acceptable. What it said, the woman that gave the 2 mice gave more than anybody. Now, if you're looking at the amount of money that somebody put in the box, you may think, man, look at how much money they put in the box. But Yahweh judges things based on how the amount that he has given you. So one person put $1,000 in, you go, oh my God, that's a whole bunch of money. But Yahweh, no, I gave them $50,000 just last month. That 1,000 they ain't even gave me what they supposed to give me. Then you see the person that come up with two pennies. And now you judge that person and say, look, they ain't putting nothing in there. But that's only 2 pennies they had. So the 2 penny person put in more than the $1,000 offering. Might want to just stay in your lane. Go ahead, brother.
Mark chapter 12 and verse 28. And one of the scribes came, and having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? And Yahshua answered him, the first of all commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Adonai our Elohim is one Adonai. And you shall love the Adonai your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There's none other commandment greater than these. And the scribe said unto him, well, master, you have said the truth, for there is one Elohim, and there is none other but he. And to love him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the soul, and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices.
Right. So love is better than all of that. So are we looking at something? Are we looking at the love and the care that somebody puts into the work that they're doing? That's why when you do something or you get in something and jump out of something, you showing something there. We're so busy looking at one thing. When Yahweh gives you a charge, how do you operate in that charge? Does the charge get inconvenient to you? That's why I was telling them brothers last night, hey, I hope y'all having a good time at our cookout, but don't think you're going to go to sleep tomorrow and think, you know what I'm saying, you're going to sleep in class and Sock going to give you a pass. I give out no passes. See, I know how much the people who work constantly, I know how much sleep they lose constantly. So folk who've been sitting in their own house in comfort, you don't get to come up in here and go to sleep. I know how much sleep the people who work lose. My last time coming here yesterday was about 6 o'clock. Some of y'all might have thought I just came up here. These two met me at my house at 9 a.m. That's when our day started. Going from house to house, done been to the camp 2-3 times. But if you ain't been up there, you think when I got there at 6, I just got there. Half the time when you see him, that's the third time he done came up here. You might think, yeah, I got here the same time Kish. No, you got here the same time the second time Kish got here. You didn't get here the same time Kish got here. No, you didn't get the same, no. No, don't fool yourself. That was time number 2. He done already came up here. He done went back home, did some more stuff, took a nap, came back. You got here at time number 2. So all the time, the stuff that you're seeing ain't really what you're seeing. So be very careful, Israel. Go ahead.
And when Yahshua saw that he answered discreetly, he said unto him, You're not far from the kingdom of Elohim. And no man after that durst ask him any question. And Yahshua answered and said, while he taught in the temple, How say the scribes that the Mashiach is the son of Dawid? For Dawid himself said by the Holy Spirit, Yahweh said to my Adonai, Sit you on my right hand, till I make your enemies your footstool. Dawid therefore himself called him Adonai. And whence is he, then his son? And the common people heard him gladly.
Right. Now, we had a question, and one of those questions said that I understand that Yahweh and Yahshua are two separate entities that are one spiritually. Is that what is being stated in verse 1 of Yohanan when it states that the word was Elohim? So let's go there. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 1. And let's start that at verse 1. So you get a part of that in what we just read, where he's saying, wait a minute. How can he be this if he is also the son of Dawid? How can Dawid call him Adonai if he is son? So what's happening here? So let's go Yohanan chapter 1, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was El.
Now. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. So now we're talking about this Father and Son. We already know it says Elohim is plural. And it says in the beginning, let us make man, not let me. So whenever anything is done under the Father, you have the Son doing it. But of course, all of that is done to the Father. Let us make man in our image. All right? So this is mankind being created. But what happens here, you notice that there's this doctrine where on Sunday morning, they teach that their Jesus is also God. And that ends up throwing a lot of people, especially when they get to something like this. Go ahead.
The same was in the beginning with Elohim.
Right, with Elohim. They don't understand that whole thing. This is also, and you can hear it even when they give their thank yous. They don't thank God. They think what the name that they think Christ is being called by. They think that name. They don't think the Creator. They don't thank the Father. They thank the Son. Because part of that is they believe that they are thanking the Father when they thank the Son. Go ahead.
You know, brother, and I'm not being mean, but on our website, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a specific place with documentaries, right? Where brothers and sisters have done diligent work on a lot of stuff that people actually end up asking about. These people go in and get straight to the point with a lot of stuff that's being asked, and the website is there with a good lot of information across the board, even when it comes to nutritional stuff. People are putting in time and work and dedication to put out information that nobody seems to be going to look at?
Well, because I want you to tell me personally. So if I go there, I got to sit there and I got to watch, I got to figure out which one I need to watch, and then I got to read and stuff. I can just ask you kids. Because I got something else I want to do with my personal time.
Right. Right. Them people don't sacrifice their personal time to put something together. But I don't want to waste my personal time reading it or looking at it. I just want to come ask you. I want you to spoon feed it to me and make that sound when you do that. Read, bro.
Verse 3, all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not.
The light shined in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. So when we understand that the holy name of Israel is the sun, that is who we are named after. We are not named after Yahweh. Even when the word says, you know, saying we are called by your name. What name are we called by? We will never call Yahwehites. He made sure they had already set up Israel before he even told us his name. Because he knew what we do. So there's an order that have to be kept in the house. I don't care what house you got. There has to be order. Let's go to Mark chapter 12. And I want to go to verse 38. There was a question. And it says, I was considering the sin of Abihu and Nadab, two of Aaron's sons, who had offered strange fire before the Adonai and were destroyed, in Leviticus 10 and verses 1 through 2. Somehow this made me think about the coming third temple in Jerusalem and the sacrifices that are slated to be performed there. My question is, will the Most High consider these burnt offerings strange fire because of who is performing them? In fact, how will the Most High regard the temple, since Gentiles and Edomites will be building it? So let's go Mark chapter 12, and let's start that at verse 38.
And he said unto them in his doctrine, beware of the scribes, which love to go in long clothing, and love salutations in the marketplaces, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and the uppermost rooms at feasts, which devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. These shall receive greater damnation. And Yahshua sat over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and says unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow has cast more in.
This poor widow has put more in than anybody, except hers didn't look noteworthy. Go ahead.
Than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living.
All right. So now, with that being said, we're gonna go to something else. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. See, sometimes you have to look at something through a different set of lenses than what we are accustomed to. Deuteronomy chapter 6. And start at verse 10.
And it shall be, when Yahweh your Elohim shall have brought you into the land which he sware unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Esaac, and to Jacob, to give you great and goodly cities, which you built not.
Oh, now, hold on. So then we have this thing where we say, okay, well, if the Gentiles built it, it's defiled. Yahweh, like, look, I'll show you how to clean. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I got some holy fabuloso. Go ahead, keep reading.
And houses full of all good things, which you filled not.
You didn't put that stuff in the house. Go ahead.
And wells dig, which you dig not.
You didn't dig that. Go ahead.
vineyards and olive trees,
Yeah, you didn't plant that.
which you planted now,
Uh-huh.
when you shall have eaten and be full.
Uh-huh. So, he got a plan for you. Don't worry about that. Let him build it. Then he'll turn around and give you that holy fabuloso and let you clean that thing. Okay? Let him go ahead. We throw out the baby sometime with the bath water.
Bath water dirty. You know what that baby is too. Throw the baby out.
No. We're going to keep the baby. We're going to keep the baby. Now go ahead, build all that. We're going to keep that. Matter of fact, I hope they are redesigning Esaac's house right now. I hope they might not know they doing it.
So you know what? I'm gonna put this nice balcony on there.
Oh, I like balconies.
I hope they're working on my house right now.
Go ahead. And then Yahweh gonna give me that holy fabuloso. I'm gonna clean it down. But that's ours. Don't forget, the Gentiles are over there holding our stuff right now. They raided Jerusalem, took all the holy artifacts. They sitting in the Vatican right now. He gonna make them get that back. What you gonna say?
No, y'all done touched it. It's unclean now.
Don't worry about it. Got that fabuloso. Drop it off. We'll take care of that cleansing. Just drop it off. No, you gotta get that back. So, no, they wanna build it. Let them build. He'll decide what he gonna keep and what he ain't gonna keep. Let him decide that. Go ahead.
During the times of Cornelius, didn't Cornelius also dedicate things towards the temple?
Mm-hmm.
So what would they just do? Take his domain, get that out of here.
Hey, man, when Yahshua was around, didn't they call that Herod's temple?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Next question. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 15. And this says, I read in Leviticus 12 about the purification requirements for women after giving birth. I came across a scripture I hadn't previously paid much attention to where it says a woman has to make an atonement offering as part of her purification process. Leviticus 12, verses 6 through 8. If you know, can you explain why a woman would have to atone for giving birth? Well, I may not know it, but the book does. Let's go in there. Let's go. Leviticus chapter 15. And let's start at verse 25. See, if I said it, still say, well, you know, whatever the sock said. See, I don't promote that in this congregation. See, that's the kind of stuff you hear on Sunday morning. You know, my pastor said. You know what I want y'all to say? The Bible said, Priest Sock had Priest Kish read. That's how I want your statements to go. Don't come say your priest said. Because see, then all they going to do is say, well, my pastor said. Now you going to play the my priest said, my pastor said game. My priest said, well, my pastor said. Well, my priest said, well, my pastor said. You go ahead and trump that. Well, my Bible said. Yeah. Now we're talking. Go ahead, brother.
And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean. Every bed wherein she lies, all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation. And whatsoever she sits upon shall be unclean, as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever touches those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her two turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before Yahweh for the issue of her uncleanness.
Stop. That is why after giving birth, a woman has to make a atonement sacrifice. That was the answer to the question. It is because of the blood. That is what that's for. Remember now, blood is shed to make atonement for sin. This is birth blood. Any blood that has something to do with the reproduction. Understand? That's what's happening right here. Go ahead.
Thus shall you separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that has an issue, and of him whose seed goes from him, and is defiled therewith.
Now you see, automatically it went right back into him whose seed goes from him, because that's equivalent to the blood. They are both instruments of reproduction. See, we want to call out one thing, but we don't deal with the other thing. Both of those things are connected. They are unused instruments of reproduction. Go ahead.
And of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that has an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lies with her that is unclean.
All right. This is going to be our last one that we're going to deal with. This one says, could you explain or break down what's to be done on how do we celebrate our holy days? And for the male appearance, do they have to be age appropriate to appear? And if you have no male to appear for your man-child or to appear with him, what should the mother do? So let's go read 1 Samuel. And we're going to do, where is that? 1. 1 Samuel chapter 1. And started at verse 20. Now, one of the things that we have to deal with is when we're keeping our holy days, whenever it's a holy convocation, then we're having a feast. All right? So when we're having those feasts, even when this congregation began and I started at my house, people don't really go through things and do it fully. Once I sanctified the room for service, nobody unclean could come in that part of the house, period. Understand something? That means you have the women of my house who are in their house but cannot come downstairs for 8-10 hours while other people walk around their house. When I tell you there's some people here who have paid some dues that you are not aware of. Some of y'all couldn't sit still at all if somebody was walking around your house. And they got to go upstairs for 8 hours. What about them days when we had a Sabbath and a holy day? They up there 15, 16 hours straight. Why? Because the room was sanctified. You can't come in here. And they went through that for 3 years. So some of these people walking around here understand. They paid some dues that you're not even aware of. Go ahead, brother.
Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about, after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I've asked him of Yahweh. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto Yahweh the yearly sacrifice and his vow.
The yearly sacrifice, he's going up. He's going to take care of all of these things. He's going to make an appearance. All right. But you're going to see two separate situations going on. You have him and his household. He's the man. But this vow is hers. Go ahead.
But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I'll not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him that he may appear before Yahweh.
That he may appear before Yahweh. But I'm going to make sure he weaned. He understands it's her vow. He stays out of it. Go ahead.
And there abide forever. And Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, do what seems you good.
Do what seems you good, because you giving up your firstborn. I'm going to stay out. This is the vow you made, and he gave you a son. I'm staying out of that. I'm going to let you do that on your time. Now, if she didn't do it, he going to have to go and step in. Now, hold on. Now, you made a vow. But I'm going to give you leeway to accomplish the vow that you made with your Elohim. Go ahead.
Tarry on till you've weaned him. Only Yahweh established his word.
Only, yeah, you see that part? See, understand how to run things in your house. Only Yahweh established his word. Hey, wasn't a whole bunch of words there. What you think he's saying? All right now. Remember you made a vow. I know, don't. He got to make sure that she ain't finna get connected at this point.
You know, I'm so attached. You know what I'm saying? It's my firstborn baby.
Wait a minute now. What you got now? Now remember now you told me you done made a vow for if he gave you a son, you were gonna give it back. Now I need to make sure you ain't about to make that left turn on me now. Cause when he kicks you, he kicks me. See, this not him kicking you, this him kicking us. So if you made that, we gonna abide by that. That's what he's saying right there. Only Yahweh established his word. He didn't have to ride the woman. He just needed to say enough so that she understand. We're gonna keep this covenant. I didn't make you make the covenant, but you made it. I heard the covenant, I did not disannul it. We're gonna keep that covenant, you understand? Understand how things are supposed to be done in your house. He didn't have to go and act all monkey fool. Some of y'all ready to go all sour monkey when you ain't got to. I know y'all like that sour monkey, don't you? Man? See, y'all ready to go sour monkey. You ain't gotta go sour monkey. He made one step. Only Yahweh established his word. Go ahead.
So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him.
Uh-huh.
And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her.
She's taking him up to the appearance. So when you have a situation where it's a woman with a child, who told you can't go and appear for your child? Who told you can't take that child? We set up a tent when we make appearances. Their sisters show up and just pass their baby down the line. Uzi done showed up twice with Danielle, and I have to work out just to carry him over the other people. I tried to see if she had some dumbbells inside the carrying case. But he's so heavy. Go ahead, brother.
With 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour and a bottle of wine, and brought him onto the house of Yahweh in Shiloh, and the child was young. And they slew a bullock and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Adonai, as your soul lives, my Adonai, I am the woman that stood by you here, praying unto Yahweh.
Now understand, this is her dealing with the high priest according to the vow that she made. Where her husband at? She got one. She's still taking care of this business though. That's her vow. So you got a lot of people who teach in an oppressive manner that, because first of all, they don't want their woman to hear no word. There's some folks that all but forbid their women from listening to me because they want to mistreat the woman. They want the woman to only hear the word from their mouth. They don't want the woman to hear any other thing. So they don't want the woman to listen to me. They want the woman to listen to only them. Because they're trying to use Yahweh's word to rule over the woman in the wrong way. And Yahweh gonna deal with you. Keep playing that game if you want to. We got some people who are no longer a part of this congregation for that very reason. Hey, all I can say is I hope them sisters safe. Because it didn't sound too good to me. Go ahead, brother.
For this child I prayed, and Yahweh has given me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to Yahweh. As long as he lives, he shall be lent to Yahweh.
Uh-huh.
And he worshipped Yahweh there.
Right. So she came up, she gave, was there for him to make his appearance. It was her vow. She went all the way through it. So let not a sister believe that she is limited because she does not have a man, that she cannot stand in that stead to make an appearance or to bring her children for an appearance. And understand, when you don't have a head, then Yahshua is your head. You have a head. Understand that. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath. When I say remember the Sabbath to keep it holy, understand, we have really, really enjoyed ourselves all week. Tonight is going to be open karaoke, where we doing open mic and karaoke. You know what I'm saying? So it's open karaoke is what we doing tonight. We had game night. We brought foosball table. We got video game. We got the arcade game in there. All right. Do not touch that arcade game until the sun go down. Are we clear in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.